Let me go across to Aditi Nayar, Principal Economist at ICRA. Aditi, thanks very much for joining us. ICRA has put out a report flagging concerns on the shortfall as far as indirect tax collections are concerned and the implications for state governments. We've got a GST Council meeting coming up on the 22nd, Aditi, and while officials within the government seem to suggest that there is no elbow room for significant rate rationalization, the call from the Prime Minister is that the 28% bracket should be pruned even further. So now, states are grappling with what could be the implications of that for them. What are your key concerns, Aditi, and what are your expectations?
Thanks, Shireen. The note that we put out today is actually highlighting the key risks that we see to the state's fiscal health in FY19. And the first one, as you mentioned, is the fact that in terms of central tax devolution, we do expect that there could be a significant shortfall to the states because of two major indirect taxes of the Government of India. One is the CGST collections and the second is the cut in excise duty on fuels that was instituted for H2 of this fiscal. Now, interestingly, what we have observed is that in terms of the CGST and the SGST collections, first of all, the budget estimates made by the Government of India and all the states put together are rather different. So while Government of India has put in a budget estimate of CGST collections of 6 trillion for this fiscal, if you look at the data for all states put together, they actually budgeted a much more moderate 4.9 trillion. So firstly, there is this big difference in terms of the budget estimates. Secondly, we have estimated that up to the collections in November 2018, the CGST, after taking into account the normal settlement and the provisional settlement of IGST that has taken place so far, would be around 3 trillion, which is just about half of the centre's budget estimates. On the other hand, our forecast is that the states have been able to garner 3.4 trillion of SGST after the IGST settlement, which is closer to 70% of the 4.9 trillion that they budgeted. So the risk really is that CGST collections will fall short of Government of India's estimate, and therefore central tax devolution would also be lower. But on the SGST side, we see the situation being far more comfortable right now. Of course, if there are further GST rate cuts, then we'll have to assess whether that continues to be the case.
Okay, so the key risk at this point in time is the central tax devolution that you foresee on account of the fact that we haven't seen the collections being coming in line with what the government estimated. But let me go back across to Mr. Badal. Mr. Badal, we both, you as well as Mr. Isaac, seem to suggest that perhaps it would be more prudent to take a holistic picture as far as rate rationalization is concerned, and maybe this is not the time for significant tweaking on the GST rates. But, Mr. Isaac brought up that meeting that was chaired by Mr. Piyush Goyal. Rate rationalization was not on the agenda, yet we saw a plethora of rate cuts coming in. Is that the expectation then on the 22nd, given what we have seen from both the Prime Minister as well as the Finance Minister today, specifically on rates, sir?
Well, Shireen, I just wanted to just bring this also up, that if you look at last month's collection, I'm not sure, it's about 97,000 crores. And out of 97,000 crores, it's 7,000 would be refunds. So actually, these figures actually inflated. So that brings it to 90,000 crores. And 8,000 crores would be compensation to the states. So you're left with 82,000 crores. And if you divide this equally between the Government of India and all the state governments, so Government of India is left with 41,000 crores. This is even less than what Government of India was collecting 2 years back in 15-16. So this is worrying. The number of people, the percentage of people filing returns, that has declined. So some fresh thinking needs to be done, and what my friend Dr. Thomas Isaac said, you can't just go in for knee-jerk reactions to every election. The elections are going to take place every 3-4 months. And this is one forum. We have the Vidhan Sabhas, we have the Parliament where the political slugfest must continue. But in the GST Council, I think decisions have to be taken which are in the highest interest of India. And, and hopefully within our lifetimes, and I hope I have another 10 years to live, India becomes a superpower. That's what we want to see India. We just can't go on tinkering and bickering with a small petty politics. So as far as Punjab is concerned, since we are in compensation, if they want to cut...
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I'm fine with, that's what Congress has been saying, that, we need to converge into, if not one, ideally, but then at least a two-rate structure. But also we need to ramp up the technology and, put technology in place where, people find it simpler to file taxes. I mean, you just look at the number of audits which are taking place. There is the departmental audit, CAG audit, there's a 9C audit, special audit, there's an eBay bill. I mean, the trade and industry is actually suffering because of this bad design. And so what in the Congress party we're thinking, because you can't fix it, we have to go in for a GST 2. That's what we're thinking.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Isaac, what is this GST2 going to be about? I am given to understand that non-BJP states are likely to go into a huddle, perhaps even ahead of the GST Council meeting on the 22nd. We heard Mr. Badal talk about the need for fresh thinking. What could this GST2, what are the ideas that you bring to the table in terms of this GST2?
Now, so far, the GST Council, despite the political differences, it has been always a consensus decision. We have all got together. But now things are reaching a point where we cannot allow this to continue in this manner. Look, December is getting past. But what is the situation? Since GST was ushered in, there has not been a single annual return. Without annual return, how do anybody scrutinize what is due to the government if somebody is taking extra input credit or not? Now, there is only now 3B, GSTR 3B. Now, without the GSTR 2 and 3, how do we examine, scrutinize the return meaningfully? There is no system in place. Okay. Please, heaven's sake, allow the system to settle down somewhere. Before you go on tweaking the rates, changing the rates, thinking of doing things totally nonsensical, like allowing composition dealers to have input credit or had to have interstate trade and so on and so forth. This is crazy stuff to do. See, this is what I call knee-jerk reactions. And this is what finally the GST Council is tethering to, because political compulsions. I hope the Union Finance Minister will resist this temptation and pressures and take a correct course, which we have broadly been negotiating and doing. And if there is a need to be a rate cut, let it be discussed thoroughly. Revenue implications, let them work out the revenue implication, how much is going to be without doing that on a populist ground. You say, no, that is too much, we are going to reduce it, we are going to reduce to 99%. That's not the structure we agreed to. So, it's very sad that GST Council is degenerating into this manner because of the ruling powers.
Well, that's a big statement you're making, that the GST Council, so far, every single decision has been unanimous. In fact, the GST Council is being held up as a federal formation that has actually been able to deliver despite political differences which have been outside of the Council, not inside the Council. But you're saying that is in the process of degenerating. Aditi Nayar, before I talk about farm loan waivers, a quick word from you on what you will watch out for now come the 22nd of December when the GST Council next meets.
Yeah, Shireen, definitely we'll be looking out for what is the extent of rate cuts, if any, that get announced in that meeting, and really what is the Council's own assessment of the revenue loss for the rest of the year that will come out of that. And, we do have to keep in mind that rate cuts may not always result in a big commensurate increase in demand, which is going to keep the revenues balanced. And certainly what we've observed over the last quarter is that a lot of states did go in for rate cuts on the VAT that they levy on fuels, and they did it when fuel prices were at an all-time high. And after that, we've had this deep correction in crude oil prices, and therefore the requirement for having cut the VAT rates possibly is much more diminished now than what it seemed to be at that point in time. So that again is a risk that we're seeing for Q2, because given the generally inelastic fuel consumption, it's unlikely that we're going to get this huge increase in demand that's going to offset both the rate cut as well as the fact that the prices themselves have fallen so much. Other than that, of course, we'll be looking, as you said, at the loan waivers and the other pre-election sort of announcements that are coming in from a host of state governments. Clearly, this is going to be a big risk to spending and to the fiscal deficits in FY19 and FY20. And, of course, we do hope that it's not going to be capital spending that gets deferred to make sure that the hard fiscal deficit lines are met.
Okay, that is a risk that the market and investors are looking out for. But let me bring back the Finance Minister of Punjab, Mr. Badal. Mr. Badal, you know, Punjab was one of the state governments that announced the loan waiver to the tune of about 10,000 crore rupees. Have you been able to deliver completely on that?
Substantially, Shireen, we've been able to deliver. Like I was talking to you before this program, most people would think that agri loan waivers are actually a dole or a subsidy or populist. But in an agri powerhouse like Punjab, we consider this as capital investment. You know, if the farmer is weak, if the farmer is not prosperous, then you know, in a state like Punjab, we can never hope to move ahead. So we did go in for a 10,000 crore loan waiver. We saved some money, we managed some money, and you know, we did it in installments, but we were able to fulfill a substantial part of it, and it was up to 2 lakh rupees per farmer.
Yes.
And out of the total operational 1.4 million farming families, we were able to benefit about a million and a quarter.
Okay. All right. But, you know, your party president now, Mr. Badal, is calling for a nationwide farm loan waiver. What he has said today outside Parliament is that they will put pressure on the government to announce a nationwide farm loan waiver, which takes me back to what the Congress had done, the UPA had done in 2008 when the UPA announced a debt waiver as well as a relief package amounting to about 71,680 crores. You know, the loan waiver was to about 3.69 crore small and marginal farmers, and there was a one-time settlement of loans for another 0.6 crore other farmers who didn't fall in the small and marginal farmer category. Do you support a nationwide loan waiver?
Well, Shireen, if you've ever been to a circus and you have these the performers who do acrobats, and on the ground they actually put out a net, that if by accident or by chance somebody slips, then instead of falling on the ground, then he should fall on the net. I feel that budgets and economy and government should not just be about numbers and figures. It should also be about real people. Yeah. And if the people of, you know, I may be a very strong man, but if my eye is paining, I cannot hope to be healthy. Similarly, if a large section of your population is distressed, then how does India hope to move ahead? So in fact, I was the architect of the Punjab Manifesto. I was the one who wrote it, and we were the first, we were the pioneers.
I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing about the need to address the distress that the agri-economy faces, that India's farmers face. The point that I'm asking is a different one. I'm saying that do you have the capacity and the ability to be able to write the checks that you are claiming or promising to write? You announced 10,000 crores. You believe that you've done most of it. If I look at your debt as a percentage of GDP at 41%, similar story for states like West Bengal, 37%, Kerala, 31%, Rajasthan, 33%, UP, 29%. My question is, do you have the ability to write the checks that you're promising to write?
Well, Punjab has written it off, so we did write the check. And the debt is something which is part of a legacy, which is something to do with the state of terrorism which prevailed in Punjab for a decade. It's also got to do with the slowdown of the economy on account of special concessions which were given to the hill states, which are Jammu, Kashmir, Himachal, which are immediate neighbors of Punjab. So this is a legacy which we carry forward. But at the same time, as a government, we cannot afford to see the farmers of Punjab in distress. I'm not saying loan waiver is the only solution. It is part of it. So it has to be a multi-pronged approach. And just the last word, I just hope, I just wish that BJP had done it when the international oil prices were down and there was a windfall profit which the government of India had. And if they, the 2-3 lakh crores, if they had done it, not just farm loan waiver, but also maybe cheaper capital to small and medium industry, Indian economy would be on a much surer footing.
Aditi, I'll give you the final word on this, because while we have asked the government if there is such a plan at this point in time officially, they say that there is no plan for a nationwide farm loan waiver, but the speculation is that maybe, even as early as the supplementary demand for grants, maybe there could be some indication. We don't know. This is speculation at this point in time, but reports suggest that to the tune of 4 lakh crore rupees, perhaps, that could be something that will be unveiled. What's your own estimation?
See, we will have to obviously watch this very closely in terms of what is the total amount of loans that are announced, in terms of any waiver that actually gets announced. How many people per family would actually be eligible for that? What would be the source of the debt which is being written off, whether it's only going to be from cooperative societies or from all types of banking channels. Is there a limit that would be applied per person in terms of the amount that would be capped? And then also the number of years over which the actual loan waiver by any government, whether it's the central government or the state government, gets staggered. So all of these obviously factors will have an impact on what is the affordability in any given year and how much has to be foregone in terms of other spending, competing spending priorities that the government may have. And ultimately that is what will have an impact on the size of the fiscal slippage in any given year. So a lot of things to watch out for before being able to really comment.
Yes. And as I point out, it is still speculation. It's a demand being made by the Congress party, by the Congress president, but the government says that there is no plan for a national farm loan waiver at this point in time. And if we go back to the waiver announced by the UPA in 2008, the debt waiver was to be done by the 30th of June of 2008 and the debt relief package by 30th of June 2010. So as Aditi was saying, it is staggered. But Mr. Badal, I'll give you the final word on the program now. What would be your single biggest concern, sir, as you look at both the economy as well as the political economy today?
Well, I just want to end with a very famous couplet of one of the greatest poets of the Indian subcontinent, Muhammad Iqbal. He says कि खुदा ने आज तक उस कौम की हालत नहीं बदली, ना हो ख्याल जिसे खुद अपनी हालत के बदलने का. So God is not going to change this for us. We will have to fix this, our tax. It was a once-in-a-century chance which India had. 160 countries had already gone into a GST regime. We just had to copy one of them, and look what a mess we made of it. So we are looking, and I'm convinced that the government is on an election mode. They're not going to fix anything. So we're hoping Congress forms an. We are looking, and I'm convinced that the government is on an election mode. They're not going to fix anything. So we're hoping Congress forms the next government, and we just try and clean up the stable.
All right, sir. Well, hope is what the Congress is betting on at this point in time, and I guess with the electoral verdict in the 3 states, that hope has certainly been bolstered, but the BJP thinks otherwise. We'll find out what the decisions are at the GST Council on the 22nd for this evening. Yes, sir.
There's a colloquial wisdom in Punjab which says that 1 and 1 is actually 11. So I used to be 1, and then now I have 3 more colleagues as finance ministers, so we become a big group.
All right. Yes, certainly a bigger group in the GST Council with more Congress representation. Mr. Badal and Aditi Nayar and Thomas Isaac, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV18 to take stock of the 2 big statements that have come in on the political economy. We're back after a quick break.